Okay, so in today's video about QNT, first we are going to see what is happening in like very short term in this area, and then we are going to go on some higher time frames, and I'm going to talk to you about a very interesting, potentially bullish pattern that could actually send us up to somewhere beyond $600. So with that said, hi everyone, welcome back. I hope you are having a great time with your family and loved ones, and let's summon more and see what is going on in here and dive in. So if you remember the last time that we talked about QNT, we were somewhere around these areas, and I was saying, okay, as long as we're not taking the lows in here, because we can identify 5-wave up and then a correction down, maybe this is going to be, according to our bullish possibility, a series of 1-2s, and maybe this is 1-2 followed by that. This is going to be another 1 and 2, but on a lower degree relative to this one. And the idea is that maybe soon in QNT, we're going to get a big move up into wave 3, 4, 5. Now, in terms of classic TA, meaning support and resistances, this area is a very strong support from weekly and daily time frame at the same time. And ideally, I do not want to see QNT hanging around this area anymore, because the more that we touch this region, chances of getting a break of it at that point is just going to increase more and more. So the fact that we are still here, unfortunately, is not a bullish sign. Now, in terms of classic patterns, let's zoom in more and see what is happening. I guess you can argue that maybe this is actually a triangle structure. Let's just do this. Okay, this is our higher line. This is going to be our lower line right in here. Now, do I like this pattern? Well, you probably know my stance on classic patterns. I'm not really a big fan of them, but again, technically, this can be considered as a triangle structure in case that we want to get a break of the lower line, do a pullback, and then a continuation of the move down. If we get a move up and break this pattern on the upside, this isn't going to be at that point a valid triangle structure. Why is that? Because the move before this triangle was actually, you know what, on the downside, and we had something like this. So if this is a valid triangle, it should break on the downside. Now, what if we do actually get a break of this thing? Well, at that point, in terms of the targets, first we need to put the chart on regular scale. There we go. Let's just measure the height of our pattern from here to about here and put it at our breaking point. Okay, so that will give us somewhere around a $77 QNT, which is at the same time actually around this very important support area. So, you know, it is actually possible for QNT to have a move on the downside and do something like this. But as long as we're not clearing the lows in here, I'm not really going to jump into that kind of bearish conclusion. No, according to my primary scenario, there's a good chance that we are actually having a series of 1-2s and we are bullish. And even if that's not going to happen, according to my alternate scenario, we can have something like this, maybe another move down, in order to actually take these two lows right in here, which the lowest low is about, let's say, $95. But we may actually not reach to about this region, and we're going to have a very strong bounce back. And at that point, I'm sure a lot of people on Twitter and YouTube are going to say it. This is going to be probably a Wyckoff accumulation, and this was our final test and probably our final bottom, and we are going to, in this phase, start a massive move on the upside in order to take the previous major pivot high on daily time frame right in here about, let's say, $172. But again, I told you before, I think we're gonna go quite a bit more higher than that. So for like very short term in quant, in my opinion, we shouldn't really do a whole lot. Now it's just waiting time. We should be very calm and see these patterns play out. And if we do get a move on the downside like this, I told you before, in my opinion, that is actually going to be a fantastic long opportunity, because the risk to reward ratios at that point, personally, and again, this is just for me, are going to be about 1 to 3, which is fantastic. Now, let's go on a less busy chart, maybe from Binance, and let's go maybe on daily time frames. So what is happening in here? First, let's just delete everything. There we go. So here's a very interesting idea. What if, in terms of classic patterns, we are actually having a bullish triangle in the long term? You see, this can be the higher line right in here, and this can be potentially our lower line. Now, why do I say this is actually a bullish triangle? Because although in this chart from Binance, we don't have the moves before these candles, we actually had in this phase a massive bull run to somewhere around the all-time high, about $450. Now, here's a very important point, and I'm going to say it again. If you want to know, a triangle is actually a bullish or a bearish pattern at any given time, you should look at the move before that triangle, okay? This is very important. And since the move before our triangle is actually on the upside, then okay, makes sense for us to say this pattern is probably going to break on the upside and get confirmed. And at that point, what is the target for it going to be? Well, we need to measure the height of our pattern. Let's just do this and put the chart on regular scale. Excuse me. There we go. Starting from this high, let's say to about this low right in here. And we need to put this thing at our breaking point. Let's say we're going to break it around these areas. As you can see, the target according to this pattern is going to be somewhere around 570, let's say around $600. Now, here's a very interesting point for you. I do actually think in terms of classic patterns, this can be a valid pattern and it might actually work, because in my field of work, Elliott's waves, according to my primary scenario, we are also looking fantastic and bullish, and we are going to get, in my opinion, in this cycle, a massive move up. So a $600 QNT in the next couple of months, believe it or not, it's not actually that much of an insane thing to say, because in terms of Elliott's waves, we can have two different possibilities in the midterm. One scenario suggests that maybe we are having, if I just zoom out a bit more, excuse me, there we go, starting from actually this low, a 5 wave up into a wave 1, correction for wave 2, and at the moment we might be on our way to complete the sub waves for a huge wave 3, and then 4, and then 5. And okay, according to this scenario, in the next couple of months we are going to get a big move on the upside. And since our wave 3 in terms of Elliott's waves is usually quite a big move, then we can definitely say in QNT the next phase of the bull run is going to be absolutely magnificent. Now, can we have another scenario? Yes. This is the possibility that I believe I have talked about it before, but for now, it's not really going to be my primary case, because it suggests this is a 1, this whole move down is a correction structure, and I told you so many times, this is actually an A, B, C zigzag into wave 2, and we are going to have this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave up, but it's actually going to be into a wave 3. And then what's going to happen? We are probably going to get a shallow correction structure into our wave 4, maybe like a triangle structure, and then we're going to have another move up into wave 5. And at that point, I promise you the targets are going to be astronomical, and I'm not going to mention them because I do not want to, at these prices, get accused of being a moonboy. So, let's not talk about that kind of bullish possibility. And I promise you, even in case that our impulse started from this point right in here, we can definitely reach to somewhere around $600 plus in QNT. So overall, I do think that we are seeing some very bullish patterns in quant. And in terms of fundamentals, I'm not here to sell you any QNT. No, I would highly suggest do your due diligence, come up with your own conclusion, and then if you think QNT is going to be a fantastic token and it is going to have a bright future, fair enough, feel free to watch YouTube videos in order to have a decent understanding of what is happening in terms of technical analysis. For me personally, I have done my research. I think this is a great project, and if in the cycle we are going to have a massive bull run, there's a very high chance that Quant is going to participate in that, because again, in terms of Elliott's waves, we are definitely having the right structures for it. So I hope I explained everything well and you understood what is going on in QNT's price charts. Anyway, if you found any value in my content, I would really appreciate if you like this video and consider subscribing to my channel and follow me on Twitter. And if you want more, maybe you want a complete analysis for your own specific crypto, or maybe you want to learn some decent TA in order to be able to make good money in the markets, you can become a member and ask me anything you want. And until the next video, I hope you have a wonderful time with your family and loved ones. Goodbye.